to go back not just to normal life, but to go back to the work that he loves. COVID is an unpredictable bugger in that you and I might both get it. Just you and me now listening to us this morning. You and I might both get it. We're both in good health, reasonably robust health. I will have 10 days of feeling like I've been hit by a bus, and then maybe another 5 or 6 days and I'll be grand again. For you, you'll still be unwell at Christmas and maybe beyond. Ciarán O'Neill, good morning to you.
Good morning, PJ.
You're another one of these long-termers.
Unfortunately, I am, yeah.
What happened to you?
I became ill towards the end of March. It was the 21st, the 22nd, that weekend. What started off with a tickle in the throat that I couldn't clear. Over the weekend progressed into a high temperature, chest pains, cold sweats and a dry cough. I knew myself it wasn't just man flu or the typical flu. I felt something was wrong. So on the Monday, I contacted my GP, gave him the symptoms over the phone, and he advised me to go to hospital.
Yeah.
I arrived at Tala Hospital and was seen by a triage nurse, and I was 2.5 hours in there, and I was discharged and told to self-isolate as possible COVID. At the time, they weren't taking anyone into the hospital unless you had a positive swab.
Right.
So I came home and my GP arranged for a swab. He said it would be 5 to 10 working days and just to self-isolate and to look after myself, more or less. So that was on the Monday the 23rd. Over the next 4 days, I progressed more and more. I got worse and worse. The sweats became daily, like hourly. My cough, my chest pains was just immense. It was like someone was sitting on top of me. I couldn't breathe. And by Friday the 27th, I was...
Sorry to cut across you, Ciarán. Is that in a resting position? Like, is that just sitting down?
That was me confined to the bed.
And still struggling to pull a breath in? Still
struggling. And it was getting worse and worse until Friday the 27th. I was literally struggling to breathe. I was gasping for breath. And my partner brought me straight back down to the hospital. I was brought in to triage. 5 minutes in there, I was brought down for resuscitation. That was, as I said, the 27th of March. On the 28th of March, I was put into an induced coma to relieve the pressure on my lungs. And they had told my partner it would be 3 or 4 days, so they'd gradually wake me up on the Tuesday. Unfortunately, on the Monday night or the Tuesday morning, I went into full respiratory failure, meaning that the ventilator I was connected to was doing 100% of the breathing for me at this stage. My lungs were just defunct. And I ended up spending 16 days on a ventilator. I didn't come around until the 13th of April.
What is the last thing that you remember before that?
The last thing I remember is sitting in... I can't remember the room as much. I remember standing... I was obviously in constant contact with my partner through text messages. We were both worried. But it got to the stage where I couldn't text anymore. I was getting very nauseous and dizzy, and I had excuse me, I had the oxygen mask on me, and I remember sending her a picture of myself, and that was it. I don't remember much after that then.
Right. Were you frightened?
I was scared, absolutely scared beyond belief. Scared beyond belief, yeah.
So when you eventually woke up, how long were you down for?
I was asleep for 16 days, and as I said, they woke me up. After 48 hours, I was brought from the ICU to a high dependency unit. After 2 days there, I moved to an isolated ward on my own, just a small side room. And after a week there, I was put into a general ward with 5 other patients. While I was in the coma, I experienced a high level of delirium. So when they managed to wake me up, I was convinced I was in, this will sound crazy, I was convinced I was in an Irish naval hospital in the Philippines.
Right.
And I was arguing with all the doctors and nurses. I've been told that I was crying, I was upset, I wanted to fly home,
You were completely out of it, like?
Absolutely, up until I would say up until probably the 19th of March or 19th of April maybe.
Right.
For a good week after waking up, I was still hesitant. I was actually in Ireland in the same hospital where I was.
So that was the 19th of April. This is the 25th of August. And is that little catch in your throat there a while ago, is that still the back end of COVID?
I don't have it anymore. I mean, it's when I was in the coma, I suffered nerve damage. There's two theories on it. One theory was I suffered nerve damage down the left side of my body. So at the moment, I still can't walk right. I have awful pain in my leg and my left foot. I have very little feeling in my toes and parts of the foot. Two theories on that is that when the body fights the infection, it draws on all the stored fat and muscle, and unfortunately it draws on everything from my left leg. And then the other thing is, during the proning sessions, where I was kind of flipped from belly to back, my foot could have been resting in a certain position, and it's caused nerve damage that way.
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, you were a fit lad, played football.
Yeah. I've done my astro once a week, and I have a fairly active job as well, so I'm on my feet every day, constantly.
You back at work yet?
No.
Wow.
No, still unable. I still suffer with shortness of breath. I sweat profusely still, mainly at night now. But any sort, if I go upstairs to use the bathroom, I'm sweating. I'm showering twice a day, changing bed sheets every day. It's that bad.
What age are you, lad?
34 last month. So
young, fit and healthy.
Yeah.
And still floored.
And still floored. And I mean, it wasn't as if I was obeying these guidelines right from the beginning. I had two elderly parents, and when I used to go up to visit them, I would stand in the garden and talk to them, and they would get into the house, this sort of way. But I was always very cautious, because I was under the impression if I got it, I could handle it. My concern was spreading it to someone more vulnerable. But little did I know, it doesn't care how old you are or what your health issue is. If you have any, it will get to you.
Yeah. Have you any prospect of when you'll be right again?
I don't. No. I mean, hope is a very, very strong thing, and unfortunately, I keep getting told to be more realistic and just to try and switch off and try and look after yourself and not rushing to, I suppose, get back to some level of normality. But like everyone else, I suppose it's tough. You just want to get back to normality, but then you also run the risk of having a relapse, or as we've seen in Dublin city centre there at the weekend, of spreading the virus even further. So I suppose, like everything...
Do you know how you got it, Ciarán? Do you know from where you got it? No?
No, I could hatch 100 guesses, but I'll never know. I'll never know exactly where I picked it up.
Are you worried for the future as to how much of your fitness you will get back?
I am. I'm very worried. I have my partner. She was off work for a couple of months there. She went back to work in the end of June, start of July. So I'm on my own every day, and it leaves you a lot of time to think about everything, and it's scary.
Yeah.
One
of my guests yesterday, Matt Jevon, who I spoke about when I was introducing you, he said this to me, and he said this to listeners, and I think you'd echo it. No matter how fit or healthy you think you are, you don't want this little bugger.
Absolutely. You don't want it. You don't want to experience it. You don't want anyone in your family or friends in your circle to experience it, because it's... I can't put it into words. It's just such an awful, awful thing to go through.
And for people who you see on social media, Ciarán, all the time, no matter how many people are seriously ill like you were, no matter how many people die, no matter how much the surge continues around the world, sure, it is only an old flu. It's not, is it?
No, it's far from the flu. These people, there's nothing I can say or anyone can say that will change their opinion. It's just they're set in this way, in this mentality of it's a conspiracy. It's just the flu. The government are doing X, Y, and Z. I actually believe if the government had banned the wearing a face mask, these people protesting would be actually wearing a face mask. They seem to want to go against the government all the time, and they're looking for someone to blame and people to blame and point the finger at. Is where I'll see it.
Yeah.
But I just don't engage.
You mean the anti-maskers would be pro-maskers if the rest
they
of
would.
us...
They just want to do the opposite of what's being said.
There's a lot in what you say, fella. Listen, all I can do is wish you well and thank you for talking to me.
Thank you very much.
Take
I really
care of
appreciate
yourself.
it. Thank you.
Cheers. That's Ciarán O'Neill, another sufferer of long COVID. He's sick since the middle of March. He was 16 days in an induced coma. He's 34, plays soccer, works a hard-working job, and he's still not right. He's still in pain. He's still sweating. He still can't climb the stairs properly. This is not an old flu, lads.